Hello, I'm Full Paragon, and this is your general guide to dungeons for Konosuba Fantastic Days. The dungeon is a gauntlet-style mission where your team does not heal between levels, much like during a regular mission. However, it is longer, containing 5 separate stages. On easy, you can bring 8 party members into the dungeon. For intermediate, you may bring 11, and on the hardest difficulty, you can bring 15. You can swap out the party members between floors, choosing the team that will best be able to meet the challenges there. Enemies here have a lot of health, and they will often target the first unit on your team, meaning that order matters. You retain how much super gauge you have built, and the cooldowns remaining on your skills between floors. If an adventurer is not active, their skills will not continue to cool down, which means if they had 15 seconds remaining on a skill cooldown, and then you swap them out or moved them to the rear, when they come back in, they will still have 15 seconds left on their skill cooldown. It won't be immediately ready. They also will not gain super gauge between floors. There is no bonus for clearing a floor to your super gauge like there is in Arena, and if they come in from the back line, they also will have an empty super gauge unless you had previously built it up against other enemies. In Dungeon, your final score will be based on a low number of deaths. To get the maximum 4-star score, you may only have a single death. After that, your final rewards will decrease. However, you'll still get normal rewards for clearing each floor, and you only need to 4-star the dungeon once to get max rewards. Within the dungeon, there are 5 floors, the last of which contains the boss. After clearing a floor, you can choose a buff, which comes in the flavors of blue, yellow, and red potions that have various effects. The buffs are divided into 3 main groups: instant effects, 1-floor buffs, and permanent buffs. Instant effects after healing can revive a fallen character or will fill your gauge by a certain amount for everyone, even inactive characters. Floor buffs last only for the next fight but can be very powerful. These will be effects like 30% increased physical damage, or 20% super gauge increase, or 20% agility. Again, this only lasts for 1 floor, and then that buff goes away. Permanent buffs will last until the end of the run, but are weaker. They can be taken multiple times and will stack. So for example, it will give you only 10% increased damage, but this effect will be active through the end of the run. You may re-roll the buffs that you are given exactly 1 time and get a random selection of 3 different potions. You can do this for free once for the entire run. After that, it will cost quartz to re-roll. Never do this. It's not worth it to pay quartz to re-roll your potions, no matter how poor they are. Generally speaking, early on, pick the more permanent buffs, as those floors are easier and they'll have a bigger impact over the course of a longer run. However, if you are later on in the run, don't be afraid to use a potion to heal your team, revive a key character, or to get some gauge to quickly deal with a hard floor. Out of all the buffs, the most impactful ones are probably the agility buff or the gauge fill rate, as they both increase how much damage you're able to deal and how much healing you're able to put out by giving you more actions. That said, if you're struggling to survive, damage reduction or health buffs can also be good to take. The potions, however, are provided by Wiz, so effects may vary, and there are no refunds. When creating a party for the dungeon, you will need to be able to bring multiple parties that consist of a healer, a DPS, and the tank. Enemies focus the front, so make sure that the front adventurer is sturdy and has the ability to take multiple hits. Good picks for that are adventurers like Mitsurugi, Mia, Leah, and of course Darkness, or even Wiz if she has her personal weapon, although she can be a little on the fragile side since she can't benefit from a healer. A healer who can mitigate damage and keep your party topped off, such as CeeLo or Amy, is absolutely vital. You're going to be taking a lot of damage, especially on the front character, and if they fall, it will reduce your chances of getting a 4-star run, so do your best to pick a healer who synergizes well with the team. However, there is a time limit, so you can't just turtle. You will need a DPS who can take down the wave within the time limit. If you fail to do so, the entire party will be wiped, including the 2 characters that you have in the back line. You will, however, be able to continue the fight with your characters who were not a part of the party and were inactive with the rest of your roster. The enemies will also stay at whatever health you reduce them to, so you should be able to clear from there. Although having lost so many characters, it will make doing so much harder, and you will immediately forego being able to get a 4 or even a 3-star run. Some floors have enemies that have powerful AoE, others are large groups or a single foe, so craft your party based on the challenges you face, and think about whether it will be best to bring a physical or mage-based team to deal with that floor. As for the rewards, the dungeon rewards are pretty great. Dungeons are the primary way to get beast stones for upgrading your Super 2s. You can also get gems, cat tablets, and even goddess coins from the dungeon. It's very worthwhile to do the advanced dungeons, but these are very hard. You need endgame teams of the appropriate element to be able to clear them. It's a little easier because you can save scum by resetting your game, though you will keep the same party and this won't let you reselect potions. Realistically, this lets you go for a perfect RNG run, although this can be quite tedious and you still need a team that's capable of clearing the rest of the dungeon without falling. As for general advice, dungeons will rotate every 2 weeks similar to EX Arena, though there may be periods of time where the dungeon is closed. You get 1 attempt per day and you have to complete the lower difficulties of the dungeon before you unlock the advanced dungeon. You can stockpile up to 3 attempts, but you will only get 1 new one every single day. If you full clear advanced, it's far better to farm it even if you can't 4-star it because of the increased rewards that it offers. Typically, there will be 2 featured elements that the foes are weak to. Generally, it's a good idea for at least your DPS to match the element and for the tanks to have some sort of resistance to the damage that they will be taking there. Try and do some practice runs to figure out if the characters are going to be taking more physical damage or magic damage and plan your team accordingly. Currently, the dungeons are the hardest content, beyond even Arena. Don't expect to be able to easily clear or max rewards without practice and without heavily invested characters. I will generally try to have a dungeon guide within a few days of its release, however I do need to learn how to clear it before I feel comfortable making a guide. That's the video, thanks for watching. The guide specific to the Danmachi dungeon will be coming soon, although I had to split it off from this video because I wanted both a video that was generally relevant to everyone and then one that was more specific team building advice for the Danmachi dungeon. Thanks for your patience on that, and I look forward to showing you more Konosuba Fantastic Days guides soon.